Hello, my name is Chris Ryan. I'm the Southeastern Loss Control field rep with Local Government Risk Management Services. We're a risk organization group of ACCG and GMA. The topic we're going to be discussing today is slip, trip, and falls. When it comes to slip, trip, and falls, there's a couple of things we're actually seeing in local governments today. It is the number 3 leading cause of accidental injuries for local governments in Georgia. Most frequent claims is what we're usually seeing with these things. And it's because there's 1/4 of an inch that actually says it becomes a trip hazard. The areas we'll be discussing today when it comes to slip, trip, and falls are lack of traction, change in the surface traction, and of course hazards that we also come in contact with on a daily basis. Here are some problems with some walking surfaces that we're actually seeing. When it comes to your maintenance shops, there could be grease on the floor, could be an oil buildup that causes a lot of slip hazards. Also, there could be ice, which is kind of unusual for Georgia, but we still have to deal with it probably on a every year basis sometimes. There's a lot of clutter on floor like ropes, cords, tools, and stuff like that. So what we need to do is make sure we clean them up when we see them. Not only do we have to worry about surfaces as far as like walking surfaces, but we have to deal with the surfaces of our shoes. So my question to you is, what type of footwear is appropriate for the people of your employees that are working in the different areas? Surface traction also seems to be a problem. When you're going from a wet to a dry surface, it can cause a slip hazard. How about this one? Somebody has mopped the floor and you're unaware of it and nobody has put the sign up. So you're going from a clean floor to a slick floor. Definitely a slip hazard. There are many hazards that can cause slip, trip, and falls. Let's go with the first one. How about a wet, slippery floor? Uneven surfaces where everything is not level. We have cords that are all over the ground. Carpeting, if there's a tear in the carpet, it could cause a trip hazard to a young lady that has on high heel shoes, or maybe even catch a chair. Objects that are there, just a simple pencil sometimes can cause a slip hazard. How about running or moving too fast? Poor lighting, you come into an environment and you can't see what's on the floor, you're definitely going to trip over something. Not paying attention. Unfortunately, when it comes to us, our phones are our best friends, so we're not paying attention to how we're walking or where we're walking. And of course, the lack of knowledge and training that we have received in the past. Let's focus on some causes of slips maybe. How about the slope that you're walking on? We always see public works departments working on slopes and inclines to deal with cutting grass or picking up trash and stuff like that. And they could have leaves, pine needles, and other things on there that could cause them to slip down the hill itself. Of course, weather conditions also play a big part in this because it is so much different from a rainy to a sunny to a snowy day. Well, let's talk about trips now. What are some causes of trips? Definitely there's clutter all over the floor, obstacles in the aisles and walkways, and the work area itself. How about this one? You walk into your office and somebody has left a file cabinet drawer open. Definitely you can trip over that and hurt yourself very badly. So the big question that we have, are slip, trip, and falls preventable? Of course they are. We have to look at 2 areas when it comes to preventing these things. Could be safe conditions and practices, and of course, always housekeeping. When it comes to safe practices, there are a couple of things we can do here also. Definitely we can survey the area, warn others, use that self-preservation so you don't get injured, and like I always said, housekeeping is essential. Surveying the area is also very important. Take a few seconds to scan it. Make sure there's no trip hazards, cords, or anything else lying on the floor. Concentrate on what you're doing to make sure that you're looking for the right things. And also, it's very important that you pick stuff up when you see it. That way, other people will not trip over the same thing that you've seen before. So in other words, use that common sense approach, the duh approach. After you scan the area, now it's time to warn others. Don't assume everybody knows where these hazards are. So make sure that you're telling everybody in advance, there's a problem in this area. Report the issue definitely to a supervisor or somebody that can correct the hazard. And do some follow-up also and make sure that it's being cleaned up. Remember, others are important, But your self-preservation is important also. If you have to go that way, make sure you're looking to slow down. Make sure your weight is forward, especially if you're walking on ice, you're bending your knees, and you're taking the necessary steps not to fall. But the best thing to do is find an alternative way to go. The most important thing when it comes to self-preservation and making sure everybody's safe is housekeeping. It's the single most important factor when it comes to prevention of a slip, trip, and fall. Plus, it also says that you respect your work area. So definitely clear up the aisles. Make sure the walking surfaces are clean. They don't have any oil on them. It's not time to band-aid something. This is the time to clean it up correctly the first time and make sure everybody has a safe working environment all over. Some people say that housekeeping is actually like a snake in the corner. It may not get you now, it may not get you a week from now, but sooner or later it will jump out and grab you and injure more people than it should. So like I said, it's time to clean up and let's get rid of all these snakes and stuff in our buildings. So what is the proper way to fall? Unfortunately, no one wants to fall, but there is a best way to fall. Pin your chin, exhale when you hit the ground, and make sure you spread the force out so it's all not on one part of your body like a knee or your neck or something. But remember this, stay down until you're sure that you're okay. It's the people that jump up because they're embarrassed that usually are injured more because they're not watching what they're doing. Before we start beginning to talk about ladder safety, let's watch a small video and tell me, is this good ladder safety or not?
You missed a bit.
I hope you enjoyed the video. Sometimes you got to laugh at yourself a little bit. But what we need to talk about now is, why do we need ladder safety? And what is the things that we need to be looking for? Definitely you need to make sure you have the proper ladder on the job that you're doing. Make sure you put it on a level surface and you're making sure that there's a reach factor. There's this little sign on every ladder real close to the top that says, do not go above this step. That's usually what it means, do not go above this step. If you are above this step, it means you have the wrong ladder. The proper way to address a ladder is make sure you're always facing the ladder. Never try to come down the ladder with your back against it. Also, make sure you're the only one going up and down. I see this all the time when people are saying, bring me that, and they try to climb up the ladder to give it to them. Definitely that is a trip, fall, and slip hazard. But you also got to pay attention to what you're doing. I don't know how many times I've actually seen it, and unfortunately I've done it myself. When you take the ladder, you're putting up Christmas lights, and instead of moving the ladder like you're supposed to, you take and hop with it just to make sure you don't have to readjust the ladder again. This is not the thing to do. That's why you have to pay attention to the ground that you're on and what you're doing. So what do we need to do about these slip, trips, and falls? First thing you can do is contact your local field rep to get a loss run of your accidents. This will actually tell you where these things are happening. Look for those common areas where it's happening. Could it be in public works? Could it be in the sheriff's office? And then determine your priorities and decide what is the most important thing to take care of first. But you got to know this. Make sure you take care of all your priorities when they're done. The best way to correct a hazard is to get the employees' input. They know what they're dealing with on a daily basis. They know where the hazards are, and they can show you these and you can fix them. But remember this, fix it as promptly as you can, but fix it right the first time. And then when you have everything fixed, show the employees what you have done so they know that they can come to you if they ever see a hazard again. When you've corrected the hazard, follow-up is essential. Please make sure you're informing the employees that you'll be coming back at periodic times to make sure the hazard is still no longer there. But you might have to tweak it every once in a while too. Be visible when you're doing this, showing the employee that you do care about their safety. So in review of talking about slip, trips, and falls, first thing you need to do is think about traction, whether it be on the floor or on the person's shoes and what type of shoes they may need. On prevention, look at the big picture. Make sure you slow down and get the correct thing done to eliminate the hazard as soon as possible. But remember this, the most important thing to do when it comes to preventing these hazards is good housekeeping. Make sure there's signs up, there's clear walking ways, everything. But you also got to remember about ladder safety, because that will come back and haunt you. You don't want that person falling from a ladder because they are doing it the improper way.